is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Monday. And coming up here in just a few minutes, we are going to get a first-hand account of what it was like to be at Raider Stadium yesterday. The boos. Let me explain exactly what took place. So the Raiders yesterday, of course, it's their last game in Oakland, and they're playing the Jaguars. Jaguars are a really crappy team. They're just not good. The Raiders are probably a better team on paper, and considering that it is the last game in that stadium, you would have thought that the Raiders would have put forth a better effort. Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were up 16-3 at one point. So you say to yourself, okay, they're going to come away with the victory. The spread was -6.5. So obviously the line said that the Raiders should win by something close to a touchdown. And I was one of those people that were suckered in by my producer who said that there's no chance the Raiders are going to lose the game. And I lost money on the game because I listened to Jason Stein, our producer. Never take picks from a guy that makes $10 parlays. Okay, that's number one. That's rule number one. Don't ever do that. So that's what I did, and I lost. I lost a money line bet. I lost an in-game bet. But here's what happened after the game. Now, I don't mind fans booing, and everybody was booing the team. And you know what? Rightfully so they should have. Because this was a game they should have won. You figured it would have been an emotional game, at least for the players. You would have thought play for the fans. It's the last game in the stadium. You lose to the Jaguars? I don't mind the fans booing, but then they were throwing stuff out on the field. They were damaging stuff in the stadium. Some of these fans are complete bozos. They're buffoons. So Derek Carr was asked after the loss, talking about the fans booing him and throwing stuff on the field. Here's his reaction.
Yeah, it hurts. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for our team that puts in all that work, spends time away from our families just trying to get a win, you know. I feel bad for everybody. You know, that's especially the way it happened. That kind of hurts even more.
Yeah, I don't know how much it hurts for Carr. I don't know. And I don't want to go after him as far as, you know, his competitive nature, this and that. I've never thought he was an elite quarterback. I don't think he's the type of quarterback that can lead this team to a Super Bowl. I just simply don't think he's good enough. He does a lot of weird things out there in the field sometimes that make me believe he's not the right guy for this job. But anyway, that was his reaction there. He's taking the high road. And then he was asked, you know, what was said when he went over to the black hole. And if you don't know what the black hole is, that's the area where he's talking to fans after the game near the end zone. Here's what he said there.
Oh, I saw a couple people, a little kid, you know, a couple people I have seen over the years, and just said thanks, you know. Whenever I'm done playing football, they can get mad at somebody else someday that's the quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's too many times, too many fun memories where I've had with especially those certain people, where it's our last time there. It's just a cool moment, you know, to say thank you to some of those guys. You know, that are familiar faces. I mean, memories of, you know, throwing a ball and, you know, breaking Gorilla Rilla's, you know, chain and things like that and signing it the next week. Like, it's just so many memories, you know, with all those people. So I had told him I was going to come say hi to him after the game no matter what.
And that's cool, and that's a very classy thing to do, and he seems like a good guy. With that being said, maybe it was the wrong time to do it. I think it would have been probably better if he did stuff like that before the game or if you won the game after the game. But after a loss like that, when people are throwing things out on the field, the timing of it probably isn't exactly good. So he was asked, you know, does he blame the fans for any of this stuff?
Oh gosh, what's new with our crowd? Yeah, whenever we don't win, that's going to happen. So trust me, it's not under my skin. It's nothing new.
Well, I'll tell you something. I was a Hartford Whalers season ticket holder, and I hate to make the analogy and compare hockey fans and Hartford Whaler fans to Raider fans. Completely different scenario. But with that being said, I was at the last Hartford Whalers game, and it was a meaningless regular season game in a sense. You know, as far as the playoffs were concerned. Same thing with this Raiders game. It was a meaningless football game. After the Whalers game, and I was like 15, 16 years old, it was emotional. It was sad, but, you know, there was no booing going on. Nobody were throwing things at the players. In fact, the players were throwing hockey sticks and hockey equipment to the fans. It was kind of a love fest. You want to talk about a completely different scenario at the stadium yesterday in Oakland. Completely different. I've seen videos of fans damaging the stadium, breaking seats, picking them up and taking them with them. I saw some really weird videos and strange stuff. So I wanted to get a firsthand account. What was it like in Raider Stadium yesterday with the fans and everything else? And one of our producers, part-time producers here, over at KDWN. In fact, he's produced this show at times. Is Sean McCullum. He joins us live on the line. He was there. He was in the stadium during this game. I believe he went with our own Ken Thompson as well. Is that true, Sean?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And we were actually sitting in the black hole towards the end. So if you're facing the black hole, they got that big black hole banner. We are to the far right of that. And actually, Ken Thompson dressing up in the Grinch costume. So we were there. We did, in fact, get a firsthand account of all of this.
All right, so let's start from the game itself. How the hell do the Raiders blow a 16-3 lead? They are outscored. They score 0 points in the second half. They are absolutely bamboozled in this game. Outscored what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Were they outscored 17-0 in the second half? I don't understand. How do they?
Yes.
How does that happen?
That is absolutely correct. And I can't speak for Ken Thompson, but I can certainly speak for myself. I'm still, honestly, as a fan, I grew up a diehard Raider fan. I'm a proud Las Vegas native, graduated from UNLV. My dad, my late father, was a huge Raider fan, and I just gravitated towards that. It's my favorite sport. I'm still trying to process this, Shapiro, they were outscored 17-0 in the second half. And for the first half, actually, the crowd was into it. You got that vibe that, wasn't going as dominating as they would like it to be. But, in the second half, when things started turning, you did felt you kind of felt a sense of urgency, kind of a calm, like a slow hush. And then what made it even worse was the last drive by Jacksonville. As soon as they started getting, I'd say, around the 10-yard line of the Raiders, the water bottles start flying, and all of a sudden when they score, then the madness kind of ensues.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the madness. And listen, I'll be the first one to say the fact that the Raiders lost that football game is a joke. Not a good way to end things in Oakland. So the game ends, and I was just talking about this on the air. I'm not sure if you heard, but you've got Carr that goes to the black hole, and you got players that are saying some goodbyes to fans. During all this, all the fans, it seemed like, or most of them, are booing the players. There are things being thrown out on the field. Describe to me what you saw.
So what I saw is, and yes, and I'm absolutely surprised. So me and Ken, we actually saw our strong safety, Eric Harris, come down to the black hole. They were pretty respectful to him for the most part. So I did see the water bottles start to fly. We did see Derek Carr make the black hole, and I am so surprised that after a loss like that, they decided to still come down. But what I saw is people were actually throwing a few chairs on the field from the actual stadium.
Wait, hold on a second. So you're telling me they took the chairs and ripped them off, the nails that were into the concrete. They somehow found a way to do it, and they throw them out onto the field? That's a dangerous situation.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. I saw 2 chairs being thrown, and the funny thing to me is the cup holders that are actually bolted into the seat backs as well at the Oakland County Coliseum, they were being flung a lot more than the chairs. But I was so surprised at how some of these fans even got the chairs out of the bolted cement. So we did see 2 chairs being thrown, and countless, I can't tell you how many cup holders that were thrown out of the field. And thankfully, either the cup holders or any parts of the chair, no one got hit by that. There were a few camera crews, on the field that did get hit, unfortunately, with some water bottles. But, they took it in stride. I'm so glad. First of all, let me preface it by saying this. I am so glad no one was seriously hurt. I didn't see any medical personnel tend to any of the camera crew that were hit, so that is really good. But, yes, I did see 2 chairs being thrown onto the field.
Sean, are these the type of fans that are going to be coming to Vegas for games?
You know what? No, I don't think so. Because number one, let me just say that the tickets to Vegas are going to be outrageously pricey. And I will say this, Ken Thompson, he can completely back me up on this. The gorilla is actually a personal friend of Ken Thompson. He is just the nicest guy you will ever meet, and I guarantee you he had no part of this. Any of those guys in the costumes in the black hole, they were not doing this. It was just, the belligerent drunk fans that I guarantee I'd say, Shapiro, about 60-70% made their way down to the black hole as the game was ending.
All right.
And
fair enough. Look, I hope we don't get that kind of element, but that could absolutely be at any NFL football game. But
I'm sure a couple of those fans were kind of angry that they know that they can't make it to Las Vegas and they can't afford a ticket, and this is the last time they can get that cheap
angry
ticket
is okay, booing is okay.
To be on the top.
Angry is okay, booing is okay. Throwing things on the field is never acceptable. That's where what I have a problem. Let me ask you this, and I guess this would be my final question, Sean.
Sure.
Moving forward, I don't think Derek Carr is the right man for this job. I don't think he is an elite quarterback. I don't even think he's above average quarterback. You could look at the stats yesterday, and you could say he had a good game. Do you think that this is the team and obviously they're going to make some changes in the offseason. Is this the team moving forward in year one in Las Vegas that you believe could win enough games to make the playoffs?
I think so, and here's why. And JD, to answer your question, you are absolutely right. I think most of these fans are bummed. You know, for lack of a better word, it sucks. You know, losing your team for not only the first time but the second time. So as a fan myself, I absolutely feel for those people of Oakland. And then Shapiro, I think, you know, personally for me, you know, fan is short for fanatic. I would give Derek Carr one more year to turn around. I don't think it's 100% his fault. He has the right line. He needs a little bit of help. He needs some receivers, but I think the decision-making, but what I like to see personally, Shapiro, from Carr, is his toughness. And that's something that is absolutely teachable. So if it were up to me, I would give Derek Carr one more year in Vegas. I still think he can do it because he's showing flashes of it this year from his 2016 season when he was on the cusp of getting the MVP until, unfortunately, he broke his leg in the second to last game of the season. So moving forward, Raider fans, the passionate ones, they're going to travel. Raider Nation is huge. It's not just nationally, it's globally. They will always be there. And I feel for these fans. They're just passionate. But for the most part, you know, Raider fans do get a bad rap. But, yeah, to answer your question, and then I won't keep it, guys. Shapiro, I will say that I give Derek Carr one more year to turn around, maybe get him some help, and we'll go for there. But
all right,
you know,
fair enough.
They even surpassed, and I just want to end by saying this, they even surpassed my expectations for this year, but they're definitely on the right track. I would say yes.
Well, you know what, Sean? I hope you're right, my man. Hey, I appreciate you taking some time to join us and giving us your perspective. Glad you didn't get hurt out there, and glad you were there. That's kind of a cool experience. Sean, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much. Have a great show.
You bet.
Thanks a lot, Sean.
All right, coming up next, we are going to be joined by attorney Michael Avenatti. Going to get his perspective on anything and everything that took place in the political world, this impeachment inquiry, the articles of impeachment. Michael Avenatti coming up next. You are listening to The Vegas Take.